All right, all right, all right. How y'all doing out there tonight? Tonight. Welcome back. Welcome back to the Focus Marathon. It is me, Karen, and Antonio Cheeks here just talking to you guys, man. We are still in it. We are actually, now that I think about, babe, we got 26 nights
26
of conversations around the word focus, and we are now on day 19.
It's almost hard to believe that we have hit day number 19.
Yeah, it's been interesting. Yesterday, I'm starting to get delirious. I started speaking with a British accent yesterday,
Yes.
and that was just crazy. People were talking about that, and I talked to a guy earlier today, and he was just like, "Yeah, let's get into it. Let's get."
He said he's going to brush up on his British accent as well. So
Yeah,
you have a friend in that
I
one.
I do. So look, guys, thank you again for coming out. Today is Fitness Friday, and we are still flowing in that little theme. We don't even know how that came. It just worked out that way that it was Fitness Friday, but it is a special Fitness Friday because it's Fitness Friday with a fatherhood twist to it.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
Fitness Friday with a fatherhood twist to it. And we have today a dynamic speaker, just a man I admire when it comes to fatherhood. And we're going to bring him up in just a minute. But before then, Karen, go ahead and address the people. Let them know what we did and what's coming up in our broadcast. Give them an overview of what's happening.
Sure. Well, again, today is day number 19. We're so excited to be here. So excited that you're going to be tuning into our conversation today. And leading up to today, we've had some other really good conversations. We talked about marriage for 2 nights. We had two opposite ends of the spectrum. We had newlyweds, and then we had another couple the following day who had been married over 25 years. And so we just were able to kind of have both of them on to talk about the longevity, how to stay in marriage for the long haul, how to start your marriage off on a good firm foundation.
Yeah, that's good stuff.
That was really powerful. And then before that, we actually talked with Ralph Hastings, Spain.
Yeah,
that man, listen. Whew. He talked about narrowing down your focus in business. And that thing had me up tossing and turning that night.
I said, what are you doing up? I said, I'm up too. What are you thinking about? Oh, that focus stuff. Man, we said we got to focus.
Yeah.
So we want to thank him for that.
How do we narrow down? So that was good. So listen, if you have not seen any of those videos from this week, we invite you to check out the YouTube channel. Take a look at some of those videos from this week, as well as even the first 2 weeks.
Yeah, first 2 weeks.
Because there have been really great conversations, some really good information. Gems were dropped, nuggets. Not chicken nuggets.
Not chicken nuggets. We don't do chicken nuggets.
Just some really good nuggets for you that will help you as you go forward in these next 6 months to close out 2022.
Yeah, that's good, babe. We're going to close out strong because we're going to double up on our focus. Not double up on it, but we're just going to narrow our focus and come home. Just come home. Let's finish out this year strong and successful. Whatever success looks like for you.
Yeah.
Because it's going to be different for different people. But we want you to go ahead and dive in. All right, so let's go ahead and get into this because as we approach this, I was like, yeah, this is going to be good. And then I started thinking about the importance of fatherhood.
Yeah.
In my life and definitely in your life. And we'll talk about that as we get into it. And so why don't we go ahead and not play around anymore? And let's go ahead and introduce our guests.
Okay.
And I'm going to show them something when you finish introducing the guests, and then we'll go from there.
All right. Sounds good. So tonight our special guest is Archie Israel Jr. He's a friend of ours, and we're just delighted to have him joining us for the conversation tonight. As Antonio mentioned, we're focusing on fatherhood, but we're also going to mix a little bit of fitness in because Archie has been in the fitness industry for 23 years.
Wow.
And he has dedicated his life to the goal of obtaining optimal health. His fitness mission is to help clients make a positive change in their lives to build a healthy lifestyle from the inside out. I love that. From the inside out. And his motto is that a healthy lifestyle is not just about looking good. It's also about being able to enjoy life. And he has done that for, like I said, over 23 years. He's involving his family in it, and especially his son. And so he is just a really, really great guy. And we're just honored and thrilled to have him.
Yes.
So y'all show some love to Brother Archie Israel as he comes. But before he comes, we have a little something we want to show you just to give you a little taste of who this man is as a father.
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Hey everybody, my name is Archie Israel.
And I'm the little man.
And today is Father Friday! Yay! Hey, we got a great one for you today. We're gonna do some planks with the red cups on the floor. We're gonna go out, out, in while we're in a plank position, right? Let's go. Let's get down. All right, ready? Let's get in position. Ready? Let's go. Oh, you guys kind of shake the cups. Come on, let's go. Oh my goodness, I gotta shake it. You come back in. We gotta do it one more time. We're gonna leave it alone.
No, keep going.
All right, how's that coming apart? You gotta really shake these things. Come on. Oh, we gotta shake it. Come on. Is that coming apart? You can get the other side. Back in. Back in. Oh. Ooh. Yes. 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 That's a great exercise, great challenge, especially if the cups get stuck together. What you think?
It's good. You don't have to use cups. You can use like whatever, something like a cup.
Yeah, whatever you want to use. Hey, look, we'll see you next week on what? Father Friday. Yay! Peace.
Welcome.
Oh my gosh. Don't that just make you laugh, man? Every time you see that, you just smile.
Yeah, man. It's a blessing. It's the best blessing in the world, to be honest with you.
I can imagine, man. That is so true. So, you know what? Thanks again for coming out and sharing with us. And specifically, we brought you out here tonight to talk about fatherhood.
Yep.
And we'll throw a little sprinkles of fitness in there as well. Speaking of fitness, man, how did you and little man come up with this thing? Because you're trending on social media. I turn on there and there you go, pop up, and it just makes my day. So how did that originate? Who started this? What was this all about?
Well, just to back up a little bit, before that, I've been training for a long time, and I used to ask God over and over again, like, when am I going to stop training so hard? Because I used to wake up 4 o'clock in the morning, get on the road about 6, and then I wouldn't come home until about 9 o'clock. And it was like these long days. And I remember when he was a young man, he would always say, like, Daddy, when are you going to come home? And I just sat there and, I would get home late and he would be asleep. And so fast forward, COVID hit. And again, like I said before, I'm thinking to myself and I'm asking God, like, when can I slow down? Because I'm out here working really, really hard and COVID hits and now I'm at home. And so God allowed me to get things together with like the camera and all that kind of great stuff. And I started training at home. And so his doctor, so little man had been playing soccer for a while. I started him in soccer like about 2-3 years old. And then he started getting really, really good at it. And so his doctor said, why don't you guys do a Father Friday? Send me the information. And then I'll put it on my Instagram page. And so it started from there, but we didn't really think anything of it. We just started doing it. So it was him around about 3 or 4 sitting down on the floor. If you look at some of the earlier stuff, and we're just sitting there talking, and he's going Father Friday. We're just doing this stuff. But then he got all into it and he started really enjoying it. And then for me, I got into it because there was a point in time, as I mentioned before, where I wasn't spending time with him like the way I wanted to. And this gave us this opportunity to come together and spend time together. And then it just blew up from there. And that's what you got today with us hanging out and enjoying, one another.
Yeah, it's a beautiful thing. And so we honor you for that. And, Father's Day come around.
Yeah.
Mother's Day come around. Mom's getting slammed with stuff, man. Showered with love.
Yeah.
Cards, everybody's flying in, airplanes, people coming across the ocean to get to mom. Father Day come around, you get your necktie, maybe you get socks. A t-shirt and some socks, right?
Socks, yeah.
But the way I see it, fatherhood is so important to the stability of people.
Yeah, families, communities.
Yeah.
Man, so talk about your thoughts on where the role of fatherhood stands in like community. For it starts at home, but also in community, and what kind of impact it can have on a nation when fathers are in place
Man,
in our community.
That's one of those topics that I believe people are talking so much now than ever, because we need fathers. There's a lot of people, a lot of family members that I have that grew up without fathers, and you see this in some cases distorted view of fathers. And I think in a way, let me give you this example. My son one day, something happened and he wanted to cry. And I looked at him, and distinctively as a man, you look at a child and you say, oh, don't cry about that. And I looked at him and I told him to go ahead and cry. I said it was okay for him to cry. You're not less than a man if you cry. But yet we got this persona that we have to be the most strongest person in the world and be able to handle things. And so you have this world of ours where you got men out there, macho or trying to be arrogant, and we don't tap into the sensitivity that God has given us to be able to run some things. If you have the sensitivity sometimes to be able to see, then you're able spiritually to be able to see some of the things that need to take place in our world, to bring things together. And so the father has a big role, because biblically it starts from God to the husband, and it moves on to the rest of the family. No matter if you're a preacher or you're not a preacher, you're the head of the house. And being the head of the house, you are the leader of the house. And so therefore, if you don't lead, how are your children going to end up?
Right.
And so you have to sometimes check yourself and be able to sit down and listen to God to direct you. So within communities, men need to stand up more and be honest, be transparent. In homes, you need to be transparent. And then in your work relationships, you need to be transparent. It's okay every now and then to be able to say you cannot do something, instead of always trying to promote and say that you can do anything and everything. Shrewdness is not really intelligence or smartness. It's the fact that you're trying to overcome something that could be self-confidence, but you got to spend more time trying to get in touch with yourself. And I believe for the most part, men don't spend a lot of time trying to get in touch with themselves, really understanding who they are. Hopefully, in some way I answered your question.
Hey.
But I believe like men need to be able to sit down with other men and talk. I think men need to be able to learn from other men, and men need to learn how to be humble. My father mentioned to me, he believed in discipline. He said, never discipline your child when you're angry.
Okay.
And there's something.
Okay. So these are things you pick up along the way, having a father around. You pick up these gems from the father. And I'm going to try and, as best as I can, be the voice of someone like myself who does not even know the sound of your earthly father's voice. And so you have, and I know I can tell the difference, because when I met Karen's dad, I had 9 years of manhood, like on me. And you met her Karen's dad, and even my brother. One day we were over at the house and he had us doing chores around. I mean, we grown men, with the child inside of us, yearning for that father, and this is male and female. They're yearning for this father. And what we do things to fill that void of the father's voice. So I say all that to say, me and my brother was in the parking lot over at his house. And after we had finished doing, he was just telling us, do this, do that for me. And he's talking to us, and we loved it. And we stood and looked at each other and said, man, well, that was great. He worked us. But we loved the fact that there was a man pouring into us from a fatherly type figure. So he wasn't trying to abuse us or use us. He was just he was macho, he had the machismo but he was a man's man, in other words,
Right.
and we loved it. So for the people out there, and they're going to start coming in, but how do they, man, just, I can see the difference. I see her brothers, I see Karen's brothers who came
Right.
up with a father in the household, and I look at me and my siblings, and there's a distinct
Right.
difference in there. Can you speak on that? Like, what is that, like, that yearning inside of a young person or old person heart, still looking for that earthly father's voice?
Well, man, first of all, when I look at you, somebody poured into you, because you are an amazing man. Your father may not have been there, but somebody poured into you because you're amazing. My father grew up without a father. So, his father passed away when he was 5 years old. He had 6 brothers. So I believe, when your father is not there, God gives you men in your life to actually pour into your life. He's always looking to take care of you. For me to be who I am, it came from my father, but my father grew up without a father. Right. So where did he get that from? He had 6 brothers, and the 6 brothers poured into his life. And then, and so it's the same way with you. When I see you, the first time I met you, I would have never have thought that you didn't grow up with a father. All I know is that here's this outstanding man who is kind-hearted, sensitive, gentle, loving, strong man, and I would have never even known that. And so, I believe that God pours into people's lives. So I have cousins that grew up without a father, and some of them ended up in jail. Some of them did not. But when you sit back and you talk to them in their lives, they will tell you a man was in their life to pour into them. Now, for some of them, they listened, and some of them didn't listen. So the question becomes, is it everybody seems to have a man in your life, but do you listen to what the man is saying?
Right.
Are you actually listening to the person that's near you?
So
God puts in each and every last one of us the truth and what is right and wrong. Right. And I always say, like, there's only, like, I tell my wife, we joke around and say, like, there's 2 people. One person who you can tell them that if something is going on wrong in their life, and they'll listen to you, and they'll just, they'll do it. They won't do it, or they do what you ask them to do. Then you get the other person who has to run and fall in a hole, hit their head, and then realize, that was a wrong choice. I became that person that I listen to the people who tell me something, so I don't run and fall, in the ground. But I'm not saying that is meaning that somebody's bad or not. I'm just saying that God has made a way for each and every last one of us to have a man in our lives, some way, somehow.
So we're just getting tuned up. Karen getting ready to get in on it. So I got some more questions.
I wanted you to unpack a little bit. So as fathers, what are some important things that you can pour into, whether it be a son or daughter, but what are some important things that you can pour into that next generation that you're helping to raise?
Yeah, that's good. And before you answer that, for those who coming in, if you have a question, as your questions come to top of mind, remember to put them in the chat, put the Q in front of it, so we'll know to pull you out, extract you from that chat, so we can answer that question for you as we get going. Go ahead, sir.
Well, the first thing you need to pour in is love. I mean, that's what really has made me be able to enjoy and spend time with my son. The first part of it is love. I mean, but then love in itself, there's so much in that, right? Because you have humility, you have patience, you have that kindness, you have the gentleness, all wrapped in love. And then you also have to help him build up a character base. You got to be able to teach him or her what it means to live, what it means to walk around in this world, what it means to respect, what it means to have humility, what it means to not give up. When things get hard, don't give up. I spend most of my time when I'm with my son trying to get him to be better than me. Because when he moves on, I want him to be better than I am. So I spend most of my time talking about things that, and one key thing is being able to meet them on their level. And so when I do that, when I meet him on his level and try to use examples for him, it helps. So I think those are some of the key things.
Yeah, that's good stuff. I was wondering, you said God always puts a man or male figure or somebody of that can pour into you. God will supply that. The thing is, are you listening? I think you mentioned that a little bit. Are you willing to take the advice? And Archie, man, I remember it was later in my life that I remember that there was a man, my aunt's father. So he wasn't my father. He was my aunt's father. And at first, man, I was like, man, I was afraid of the guy because I knew he was, when you don't grow up with a man and the man start coming around, there's friction. There's a little bit of friction because you've been getting your way because you've been like the little man around the house getting your way. There's no other male figure. So when he comes in the picture, I'm like, okay, he's an adversary. I'm like, okay, this is not good. But later, I think right after I got out of high school, it clicked how he cared for me, man. And I thought back to, because back then, it's not like that now. He taught me hospital corners on my bed, how to make up my bed. He taught me, keep your, keep your shoes
I was going to ask you, are you still doing that?
Anyway, keep your shoe. Now, making up my bed is the first thing I do in the day because that's the first thing I have accomplished in the morning. So it starts to get the day going by accomplishing one thing early. But he taught me about shining my shoes because back then it was like ladies would look at your shoes. If you took care of your shoes, you was on point. And he taught me about that. And he just talked, and he was a businessman. He was the first businessman that I had ever met. And I was like, wow. And one of the byproducts of that, Archie, is that we got to travel some. And it wasn't anything like going to Europe or anything like that. We just got out of D.C. You know what I'm saying? We got out of Southeast D.C. And I can say, oh, there's grass there and there's trees and different. And people got homes. It wasn't all apartments and stuff like that. And so I appreciate him. I still remember him to this day that he brought my first suit. We went over to, I don't know if people, some of the listeners won't know this, but it was Morton's clothing store Morton's clothing store, man. And he went over there and got me my first suit. So you're right. I if you've been around, if you are willing,
if you're willing,
space to hear.
Right. If you're willing. And I think you hit that one on the head is if you're willing, and there's kids at home who are with their parents who are not willing. So, I understand, you're saying, if you don't have a father, are you willing? But then there's kids at home with their parents, they're not willing, where fathers are not spending that time. Man, listen, I told my wife, I said, if you want to know what's going on in the house, just watch the kid.
That's true.
So, a kid running around, throwing and beating stuff up, and there's a father at the house, but he's not spending any time with them. That speaks volume. What's going on when a child just want to learn how to ride a bike, but a father doesn't want to take his time out there to get on the bike with him to ride. So we have, father has to be active in a daughter and a son's life. Let me tell you, there's not that much money out there in the world that you can make that's going to take care of your child more than the time you spend with your child. You need to spend time with your child, period. Somebody telling me I need to make $100-something thousand, $200-something thousand a year. That's for you and your livelihood. Your child just wants you to be around. The child doesn't know anything about no 100, 200, 300-something thousand. I'm sorry.
No, dude, you good, man. You good.
Yeah.
No. So fatherhood, what I heard from you is fatherhood is an action word. It's a verb. It's active. And
It's
the
love.
other thing,
Yeah.
yeah, it's an active word.
Yeah. I was just thinking like, so I was fortunate. Both my parents, I grew up with both my parents in the home. And, as you
Uh-huh.
mentioned, you've been around my dad, and Archie has met my father, had met my father as well. I just remember, if my dad said something, like he didn't have to say it more than once. I not saying I got over on mom, but when dad says certain things, it was like he didn't have to repeat himself. I was like, "Ooh, okay,
Yeah.
let me
Right.
straighten up."
Right.
It was just a
Yeah.
different reaction because, like, my dad he was pretty quiet, but when he spoke, it was always impactful. It was always like no nonsense, and there was a level of respect um for what he brought to
Yeah,
our
there's a
family. And
reverence
so, yeah, reverence,
for
respect.
dad. Yeah.
He was the corner before he passed. He was the cornerstone of our family. And so,
Yeah.
just his presence was impactful for us. If he showed up and I saw
Right.
him there, I was good. He didn't have to say good job. Just seeing him there was like important. So,
Right.
that,
Right.
and mom, because moms are different. Like, it's like, and I guess it depends on the man as far as fathers, right? Because
Right.
my dad wasn't an expressive guy, but his presence was always there, and his presence was felt. And so I think that
Yeah.
was something for us.
Yeah. Oh man.
Yeah.
But you know what? How about changing the narrative of the role of a father? For example,
Okay.
if a father has the kid or
Mm-hmm.
kids, sometimes you hear people say, "Oh, you babysitting today," which is weird, right? Why would
Yeah.
they say that?
Yeah.
It's
Man,
so change. Go ahead.
no, man, let me tell you, one of the most amazing things, man, is when my wife had Ace, and I was walking through the mall. And normally when you walk through a mall, you see all the wives with the kids, right? And they're holding them. I walked through the mall, and it was all the men holding their children, and they had them wrapped. And I sat here and said, "Oh shoot, this is amazing!"
Right.
And I came back home and told my father. I said, "Dad, stuff is different now. It's like fashionable to hold a man holding a child. I mean, they had all these contraptions, hanging from the front, in the back, and all that kind of stuff.
Stuff
And I
that
said,
make me
wow."
scared, boy.
I said, wow. Now, hey, here's the deal, man. I was scared of kids. I mean, when my sister brought over, the little ones, back in the day, I wouldn't hold them. I said, no, you go ahead and hold. I was that guy, kid. I was scared. But then when little man was born, I was holding him the whole time. And I remember my pastor's wife said, "Archie, you're the nurturer." And I said, "Huh?" And it didn't make sense until I had little man. And I realized I was that guy out there holding him all the time. I was the guy waking up in the middle of the night, rocking him because I wake up easily. And I just thought it was amazing. Now, you tell my father about that, he's like, "Oh, like you said, oh, you babysitting, you the roles reverse now. You the guy, he's making fun because he grew up in a time where, they were working and the wife is at home."
Right.
But I loved it. And then to see all the men during that time carry the babies, I thought that was phenomenal. So for me, that connect with him since he was a baby, that to me is phenomenal.
Yeah.
Man.
So I like that.
So it's starting to change. The tide is changing. Because I remember speaking to a group of men, and I asked the question. I said, "How many men know their father?" And they said, "Antonio, maybe the better question is how many people have a relationship with your father?" Because they knew their father, but they had no relationship with the fathers. You can be an absent father and stuff like that. But he said they were like, "That's probably a better question." Because old dude is right down the street, but we don't have any connection with each other. I know him. There he is down there. But we need to have men have relationship with their kids.
Relationship, yeah.
And
that's what I grew up with. I grew up with that.
Yeah. I was gonna say, for the man who may be struggling to develop a relationship with his kids, or because maybe he just doesn't know how. Can you give some some thoughts on how he can get started, how he can start to build a bond there.
I think the first thing that he needs to do is just sit down with his child and talk. You
Mm-hmm.
know, that's it. Just sit down with the child and talk and find out what is it that your child likes, and
Mm-hmm.
then just sit back. You got to create a sacrifice, which is to listen and to sit there and watch and listen and really connect with your child and spend that time. Um, that I mean, you could read books, you
Mm-hmm.
could go to counseling if you want to, but I think everything leads back to you being able to take that time out and sit down with your child and have that conversation, and be able just to get to know them,
Mm-hmm.
take time out and get to know them.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think the role of culture and environment plays on the role of a man? What they see, what they're hearing, peer pressure, things of that nature. Do you feel if any of that plays a factor in whether or not a man steps up to fill his role, his obligations based on culture, environment, or trends? Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, man. You know, shoot. You got so much stuff out there, as I went back before, as I was saying before, about what a man's supposed to be.
Hmm.
And I think for the most part, as men, we try to be what society says we should be. And the bad part about that is your child sometimes doesn't need that particular person, or that, or what the world says you should be. Here's an interesting thing, and I was thinking about this the other day. When you read the Bible, you have Adam and Eve in the garden, and Adam is actually in the garden doing work. Then Eve comes over, and he looks over at her, and he says, "This is a part of me." Well, you never hear anything about, I'm better than you. You never, when she was taken out of him, he had sensitivity in him, but she kind of, when he pulled that out, she became that sensitive part, the part that he had already inside him. So they're one. And so
That's
here
good.
they are enjoying each other. They're not fussing and fighting. They're complimenting each other in that space. Sin happens. And now all of a sudden you have this difference. You have this difference of one person is stronger than the other. I'm better than you. And, all this. And maybe out of that comes the macho. Out of that comes racism. Out of that comes from all this other stuff. And then we sit back and say, as a man, and I sometimes can't stand this, is, men saying, "This is how I am, and you're going to have to
Mm,
accept me for how I
mhm,
am."
mm,
No,
mm,
you're that way for a particular reason, for some environmental things that may happen in your life, or psychological things that may happen in your life, or something that you've gone through. But you know for a fact, with inside of you, if you've done something wrong, or if you're uh, if you have this sense of anger, or pride within you.
mm,
um, I believe in a way that God uses a child to change some of those things within us.
mhm,
And so for me, I worked a lot, and I just went out and did, and then I had to learn how to slow down. For somebody else, it could be this self-centeredness, or pride, and then now your child needs more of you, and you got to learn how to sacrifice. So in this world have created so many different distortions, I believe, of man, that we look at it as truth. But then when you begin to read God's word, you find out that not all of it is truth.
oh
And the
man.
truth really is that we need to really understand that we were meant for relationship and fellowship. And so
Mm-hmm.
therefore, I try to spend more time in that arena than trying to fulfill what the world says I have to be. I'm a
Mm,
man regardless. That's who
Mm-hmm.
I am. But
mhm,
yet it's okay for me to look at my son and say it's okay to cry. It's okay for me to cry. It's okay for me to be sensitive in area. Hey, listen, I'm scared to go over bridges, man. You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know, I'm scared to go over a bridge. I used to go over
Mhm.
bridges when I was young, and I'm
Mhm.
scared to go over a bridge. That doesn't make me less than a man.
Right.
Right.
Right. Yeah, that's true.
Because
That's good stuff.
if I have to ask somebody to take me over the bridge, it never made me less than a man. It just means that's one of the things I'm scared of.
Right.
And somebody else could have something that scares them, but
Mhm.
it doesn't make them less than a man. And
Mm.
then this, you can go deeper in this whole thing, man. But let me just stay right.
Dude, hey
there.
man, you got the mic. We didn't say anything. You got the you got the mic, brother.
Let me just
So keep
stay right
on
there.
going.
Okay. Well, let
I
me
mean,
ask you this. Oh, go ahead. No,
no,
go.
all I can say is
Please.
I just tell little man to be him, to enjoy life, and it's okay to cry and be sensitive, but also stand up for what you believe in,
Mhm.
and he gets it. He gets it.
Awesome. I was going to ask, what brings you the greatest joy as far as being a father?
Oh, to see a smile on his face.
Mhm.
That's probably the best joy. See a smile on his face, to see him out there playing the sports he wants to play, and he's having fun doing it. To be
Mhm.
able to do things with him and laugh. It's I actually we prayed. I prayed for a little guy, and I remember seeing the photo of him and Lynn's stomach like this. He was like had his hands up like touchdown.
He was ready. Ready.
And
He was ready.
yeah, and I sat there and I just smiled. Um, hey, listen, we had difficult times, but I will always tell him, I said, like at school, he had these three colors: red, green, and yellow. I said, sometimes we have good days, sometimes we have bad days. I said, but everything is okay because I still love you the same. So it's a
Mm.
joy being able just to love him and to have fun with him and hang out with him.
Well, we're celebrating fatherhood today, ladies and gentlemen. If this is your first time on the show, definitely thanks for coming out.
Yep.
If you want to continue to receive valuable insights like we're having right here tonight that Mr. Israel is sharing with us, you know what to do. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button, hit that bell notification like they do, and you'll be sure to get these videos. We are in the middle of a focus marathon. We are on day 19. 19.
Mhm.
So we got a few more days to go, but we're gonna be here every night. We have not skipped a beat. We was here the 4th of July, man.
Mhm.
We
Yeah.
still turned. We
Wow.
turned on the camera and we went longer than we thought we was gonna go.
We did. We
People
had people
We
tuning
were.
joined
in.
on and I was like, "What are y'all doing here?" They was like, "We here with you." So if you want to be a part of this, go ahead and make sure you subscribe and stay connected. Mr. Israel, let's talk about preparing the next generation of fathers. What
Ooh,
should start to happen now to start preparing, getting them ready for the next? Because what we're doing is we also talk about breaking generational curses. Because
yeah.
sometimes it's great granddad wasn't there, granddad wasn't there, then dad is not there, and then the son is watching the trends. So, do you have
Yeah.
any insights on what do we do? Because this is called taking the next step. So, what are some of those next steps we can start to do to get the next generation ready?
Man, we need to, I don't care. Every man needs to go out there if they know somebody that's in those situations, to get out there and start having the conversations with them, to be able to mentor people, to be able to sit down with them. And as I said before, be transparent, because I know people, I know young men who grew up without fathers. I know young men who had fathers who were terrible examples.
Mhm.
And the thing is that I try to take the time out to talk to them and to spend time in their lives, to allow them to know that I'm available.
Right,
Okay.
right.
And I think that's the key thing, is to let them know you are available. And then spend that time with them. The young men that I talk to, I tell them, to go to church. I was brought up in the church. I know everybody doesn't have the same belief as I do or as us, but I tell them to start in the church, because the church, at least our church, have a lot of good young men, and your church have a lot of good men that can mentor, that can be there with them, and that can help them go through the process, to be able to be better men, as well as to be better fathers or parents.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to go over to the comments and see if we have any questions in a second. Before we do that, I wanted to. There was a concept we came across. I was in Pennsylvania at a conference,
Yeah.
and it came up. It was called the Nons, NON, and what they're talking, this movement of the non-church. So these are individuals who they're believers. They're like on fire for God, on fire for Christ, but they're not coming in the building. They just like, that ain't happening. So they'll do everything else. They will actually they'll come to the building if you had like a program you were doing, or maybe an outreach. They will come in and help with that. But they're not going to be a part of the local church. And it's called the Nons. And I have a book. It's called Church on the Move or something like that. It was this big book about people who are, they're in their faith now. They're Bible reading, toting, and they love the Lord, but they ain't coming in the building. So you got the brothers, the men. Yeah, I know, right? It's a major thing. And this was like a couple of years ago when I got introduced to this. And so that's on my radar as I'm developing things. As we're
would you say like the millennial?
Yeah. And what's the
generation? Then generation maybe after them.
Yeah, they're kind of like easy to not, and the well educated.
Mm-hmm.
The more educated you get, the less you start off. I don't know if that's for me. And so I have that on my radar when I'm designing programs or content. I'm also thinking about the people who are not coming into church. Yeah. So any thoughts of they ain't coming in? So we got to get out there. Any thoughts of strategies on how we do that? And then we're going to go over to the chats and see what we got over there.
Any thoughts or strategies? Try to connect with the Nons who not coming in the church.
They're not coming in.
We got to go out.
We got to go out.
This is the first time I ever heard of that.
Yeah, we're going to talk about this. We're going to talk about this later offline.
And they don't want to come into church. I guess I may have had some friends that was like that, but so we got to go out and bring them back in. Mm-hmm. We got to go up. Now that to me is interesting because, can you study the Word of God outside of the church? Yes. Can you diagram scriptures and all that kind of stuff outside of church? Yes. But you need to be in a church, and you need to be in a place where there's a pastor so that you can learn what all the stuff you're reading, because you're not going to get, you can get a lot of book knowledge, but the spiritual aspect of it won't be there, but I don't understand the non. You're going to have to.
No, we're going to talk, man. We'll break bread one day and we'll talk about that. I'll actually share I purchased the book from the writer happened to be at the conference I was at, and man, it's a major thing. And some of them are looking for pastors that will pastor them, whether it be virtually and whatever, but they're not coming together collectively at all. And it's just an interesting thing. But I like what you said. You said we got to go out there. So I'm thinking now, we got to go out there and talk and beat the pavement and find out where they are. Are they meeting together as groups? Other groups, like another buddy of ours, I don't know if you know Vaughn, but he's in the Christian Motorcycles Association. So they use motorcycle is their ministry. Like, it's something that's like, oh, you know what? I can relate to you because I ride a motorcycle, you ride a motorcycle, but they share the Word of God. Now they're based in a church, but they're going outward. And one of the vehicle that they use to reach people is the motorcycle. I love it. It is an awesome
Okay.
concept. So let's
Well, I mean,
okay.
I can understand that one. I just don't understand the non one. But so we're gonna
Yeah.
we'll probably have
I'm
to
gonna let you borrow the stuff I have here and just take your time going through it, and then we'll chat it up a little bit. So let's move over here. Let me see what we have over here in comments if we have anything. Let's see here. Okay, I got one question. Okay, I got a couple of things happening. I'm gonna bring them up on the screen for you. Well, first of all, let's go. My son in the faith. I'm gonna call him my son in the faith. Brother Joshua Parker has been hitting it off just out the park over the last couple of nights, man. He said this is good stuff. Wow, this is good. We got Marcus. It said enjoying the conversation. Are you seeing these come up for you, sir?
Yeah, I see him now.
Okay, they should be at the bottom of your screen there. And then we have, I want to make sure they're not both the same thing. Okay, here's one here from Eva. She said, I'm learning about father-daughter relationship from observing my husband with our daughters. Unfortunately, my father was a terror. I get it. Father-daughter relationships can be beautiful when done right. Yeah. Any comments on that one there?
Man, no, she's absolutely right. Father and daughter relationships can be beautiful when they're done right. I grew up with 3 sisters, and so it's me and 3 sisters. And my father, again, he didn't grow up with a father. He only had his mother, and so even though he was a man who grew up on the farm, he basically taught me how to be a big brother to 2. And a little brother to 1, you know,
that sandwich thing right there.
And he did a very good job with that, because for my 2 younger ones, I had to self-sacrifice, man. I couldn't, I couldn't get what I always wanted. You know, they got actually more things than I got. You know, when it came to sports, I got some nice shoes, but they got like the top of the line shoes. You know what I'm saying? When I was running and I was playing football, he had like the basic camera. When they came along, he had the nice one with a telescope on it and all that kind of stuff. He had the upgrade version. But he basically taught me, what it means to be a man in the house with a woman. And so some of that stuff translates to stuff now, because with my wife, I'm gentle, I'm kind, I'm generous. And, there's times, like it may, she may seem like she walk all over me, but some of that is because he has told me that my father has taught me just how to love, and sometimes you have to sacrifice yourself. So father and daughter relationships, if they done right, if the father spends that time with the daughter, learn how to listen, be there for them, to encourage them, to let them know that they're beautiful, that they're okay, they don't have to follow what the world says that they should look like and be and act. I think it's a beautiful thing, and I've seen my father do it with my sisters.
Okay, this is good stuff. I got another question. Eva's coming with the thunder tonight. Eva's coming with thunder, so she got another question here. You want to take this one?
Okay, so first question: what can fathers do to impact the rising rates of teenage and young adult suicide? That's a deep one. And then the second question: what should fathers do to address their children's mental health in the present socio-political environment? Wow.
Eva, where she comes? She came from like she launched that missile, boy. Shoo!
Rising rates of teenagers and young adult suicide. That one, that's a deep one, and that's a very tough one, because the youth need fathers more than anything in the world, and fathers definitely need to get out there and learn a little bit about mental health, learn a little bit about what it looks like, and they need to take their time and really sit down with their child. It's bad to have a child go through mental changes in their lives right in front of your face, and you don't see it. And fathers need to spend more time with their children. Sometimes I think fathers believe if they allow their child to sit and play a video game, that helps them to be busy so that they can do what they need to do.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe in most times that is wrong.
Mm-hmm.
You need to spend that time with your child. And if that child is going through things, that's you need to be able to know what you're looking at, and then take them someplace so that he can or she can get the treatment that they need.
Mm-hmm.
It all starts with being aware and being knowledgeable of what you're looking at and what you're looking for. And I thank her for asking that question. That is like
that's loaded.
That's a really big one. And so for me, I for a while ran away from things that I saw that were dealt with mental illness. And I think for the most part, that's what all of us do, is that we kind of see something and we run from it and we don't want to deal with it. And over the past years, I have a cousin who is going through things, and I had to accept that and had to go out of our way to help him. That to me is my change to spend more time in that area.
Okay.
And when it comes to teens, I think we need to look, learn, and listen more with them.
Yeah.
And for that, the next one is what should fathers do to address the children's mental illness in the presence of? Again, that goes back to they need to spend that time to learn about it and to be active in it, and to be there with their children, especially with all the things that are happening in this world right now.
Yeah, I was going to say about that. Yeah, it's like it's different.
Yeah, because when we were growing up, we didn't have so much access to all the stuff that kids, young adults, teens have access to, and so there's a lot coming at them, and they may not know how to process it. They may not know how to talk about it, or even talk about how it's impacting them. And and so
I would say,
tough.
Go ahead. It's tough, right? So I would say,
tough.
So on Monday, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to have a doctor in the house talking about mental health. So make sure y'all tune in for that. And matter of fact, start getting y'all questions together now for Monday night. It's going to be off the chain. The other thing I was going to say is you're right. Kids, teenagers, they have a different world that they live in right now. And because I remember when I was a kid, I never thought about I could get shot sitting out on my stoop on the front porch. That never came across my mind.
Never thought if I went to school I might get shot.
Yeah,
we didn't have to do those types of
a counselor coming to see us. That never crossed my mind. Or if I got into a fight with somebody, I was going to lose my life. If I got in a fight with somebody, one of us would just get beat up.
Right.
That was it. And sometimes the person you got in a fight with, y'all became buddies.
Exactly, man. That not sitting at home and all that kind of stuff. It is mind blowing, man.
But I will add this: the other thing that when I was coming up was a lot stricter too. Like I didn't have a lot of space. You know how people now, I need my space. I didn't have my space. And you know that long as you under my roof, it's my roof. No doors was locked. You couldn't lock a door.
We shared the TV. You know, we watch shows together. You can have your own. You know,
but also TV went off. When I was a kid, TV went off at midnight.
yeah,
So
this is true.
Hey, yeah, the TV went off. It was just like shh.
So you couldn't sneak. All that sneaking to look at stuff at night wasn't happening anyway.
Yeah. You ever been trying to
no, rabbit ears? Nah, man.
Yeah, you got to fix the rabbit ears.
More stuff. Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Sorry. So Eva said, did you think you would be dating by swiping left and right?
No, none of that stuff. None of that stuff.
Yeah, it's a completely different world.
It's a different world. It's a different world. Man, everybody got their own TV. Like Eva said, yeah, we share TVs. Mm-hmm. TV in every room. Yeah. You talking about I'm going to my room. Don't bother me. What? What? I got a buddy of mine. Let me tell y'all something. I got a buddy of mine. He was living with his grandmother. He came in after curfew. Because, back then, the street lights, we had the street lights was a sign to come in the house. Mm-hmm. And if you were a little more responsible, you could stay out to go to the go-go's or whatever they had back then. But he came in with an attitude. And grandma said, oh, okay. He went to sleep. He woke up and he said, man, he told me, so he said, Antonio, he said, I woke up, man, my grandmother had my breakfast. It was his favorite everything. She made it. Right. And he was like, yeah, baby, go ahead and sit down. And he sat down and he was eating. And he said, man, this sure is good. Then he looked over at the corner and there was these bags over there. He said, I wonder what them bags are. So after he finished his food and got himself together, he said, Grandma, what are all those bags over there? She said, oh, that's your stuff, baby. You out of here. At 15, she kicked him out. She did that old club thing. I don't know where you got to go, but you got to get up out of here.
Wow.
But he learned some stuff. He learned survival skill. He ended up becoming a businessman. He had to fight. But it was just different. Kids are always in the house now.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Obesity is high. They don't move, man. That's another story anyway. But that's so. We didn't have a lot of,
No, that's a whole different thing, man.
Right. Yeah.
We were outside playing.
Yeah,
we're outside doing our thing. These kids now, I mean, they get on the iPad and iPhone and they're watching that hours at a time. Yeah. Now, my son, phenomenal as he is, he started talking to me about friction the other day. He said, listen, Dad, what's different? The friction on the ground or the friction in the grass? And I said, talk on, where you getting all that from? He's talking about friction and torque. He said, well, what about torque? So, I figured, if he's sitting on an iPad watching YouTube that long to talk to me about torque and friction, he can stay on there as long as he wants to. He can stay there as long as he wants to. If he want to talk to me about torque and friction, and all that kind of stuff. But on the flip side of it, he started telling me about Teslas. He started telling me, Dad, this stuff about Tesla. He started telling me about stuff. And he started telling me other stuff. And one day he asked me a question. I said, where did you get that from? And so then I realized, even though we give him YouTube for kids, we got to monitor that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You got to monitor YouTube for kids, because for YouTube for kids, they're saying stuff on there too as well, Oh,
man,
so it's man, it's crazy.
It is crazy.
So I think that's I was gonna say, I think that's a great point as far as, what you were talking about earlier, like kids just staying focused on video games or whatever. The parent still needs to be engaged so that what's going on, and those things aren't sliding in under the radar. Mm-hmm. And you can stay on top of that, and you can dialogue. If your child does see something, you can have a conversation about it right then and there.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
How about the balance? Go ahead, Archie. Go ahead.
I said sometimes it's hard, Ken, when you get that guy who's always saying, why? 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 You're like, oh my goodness, man, that's about the 8th why.
So let me ask you this question: How do you deal with the balance of the new movement? It was really a few years back of I want to be your friend, versus be your parent. There was this movement where parents wanted to be friends. And so then you have this relationship where now you're just a friend. You're not an authority figure in their lives. And so what do you think about that as far as fatherhood is concerned? I mean, there's a delicate rope or line that you walk between we're cool, but we ain't friends now. I'm your dad. That line there. So any thoughts on that?
I don't know anything. I don't know anything about that. I
You
didn't grow
come
up
up
with
like
that.
right?
They come up like that, and little man is not coming up like that. I don't know anything about that one. That's a new one.
Yeah, they start coming up. I want to be your friend. That was like a new movement, man, for a while. I was like, that's dangerous. I want you to,
He's my son. We have fun. I'm the goofy one in the house. So we have fun, and we act goofy. But he knows when the rubber hits the road. I'm daddy. That's it. I'm daddy. I'll look at him and go like, "You my little best friend." I'll say that, but he understands. I was telling him the other day. I said, "Son, if I tell you to come here, don't sit there and go, why? Just come. Get over here now." I said, "You don't know what's about to happen." I said, "We don't have time to have a conversation and talk. Just get over here when I say move." He said, "Okay." I don't know anything about the best friend.
No, I think they need to hear that, because when they are in trouble, they know you are the authority figure they can come to, not just a friend. You are the authority figure that I can come as to rescue me, in a sense.
Right.
And I need to see you as the authority. Don't muddy the water with me. Be the authority figure in my life.
Right, exactly.
Don't confuse me, because I won't tell you what I need to tell you if you're confusing me.
Right.
Anyway, man, Archie, man, this has been fun, man. This is good. This is good. And it felt like a conversation with you right across the coffee table, man. Like we would normally talk. We're just hanging out and stuff like that. But I got some stuff I'm going to send you away, or when we get together, we'll talk it up about the nuns. That thing was surprising to me too, man. I was like, what? And apparently it's a big thing. Hey, everybody, thanks for stopping by and hanging out with us. And we had fun tonight. Mr. Archie, please, man, come back and see some of the other shows. It's really, really good, man. Their people are having a great time. I want to applaud you again for coming out, man. That was so good. I thank the people that came out in the comments, man. It was really good. The questions, Eva was on fire tonight.
Yes.
Fire. She was like, I said, that's deep. That was some deep. I said, I'm glad she was asking you the questions. And
right.
Thank you again, man. And
thank you so much for sharing your perspective and just your experiences. And thanks for being a great dad and raising a great young man. We're excited to see how little man continues to grow.
I see you pointing the finger up, right? I see you pointing in the right direction. Yep. Yeah. Hey, let me see. I think I got something else came up. Oh, look what you got, man.
What's that?
Look what you got here. Thank you, Archie.
Eva, thank you.
See, I told you they're such a good group. They're such a good group, man. They're so caring, and they tough now. They can be tough at times, but it'll make you better. It'll make you better at the end of the day.
You got to work more on that a little bit.
Yeah, I just started yesterday. Good. Hey, Marcus, thanks for coming back. Hey, Marcus, man, make sure you subscribe, man. Hit the subscribe to the channel, man. We don't want you to miss a thing. We don't want you to miss a thing, buddy. So go ahead and subscribe if you haven't already. And tell everybody you know. Don't be selfish. Share this with everybody that you know. Tell them to come on out and hang out with the Focus Marathon. Archie, before you leave, it's called Taking the Next Step. Give us a next step.
Taking the next step for fatherhood or for fitness?
Yeah.
For fatherhood?
Oh, you can give us both. Yep, you're good enough. You're good enough to give both.
The next step is you basically getting out there and getting with your son or your daughter and learn more about them. But most of all, learn more about yourself. In the process that you're learning about yourself, you'll learn more about your son, because you both are interrelated. They came from you. And so therefore, God has given you the authority, the wisdom and the knowledge to take their lives to the next step. Just love them more, spend time with them more, and God will bless you in the process.
Amen. Thank you so much, Archie.
That was so
Appreciate
good,
you.
Archie. Archie, that was so good, Mr. Israel. Thank you, my man.
We're done. We're still on.
Stay
Are we
with
still
us.
on?
We're still on here, buddy. he don't want to go. We're still here, man. Hey, stay right. Hey, look, y'all go to sleep. Go do it. It's your Friday night. Go have a good time. Mr. Archie, hang out with us, man.
Yeah, but y'all come back tomorrow. We're
Come back
continuing the
tomorrow.
conversation on parenting. We're going to have a single mom come in to talk
Come
about
on,
parenting.
ladies. Y'all better spread the word.
Yep. Come back tomorrow. Archie, you too. Subscribe to that YouTube channel.
Yeah.
We're almost hitting our goal. Y'all subscribe.
All right, now.
Thank you all.
Y'all take care. Good night and be blessed.
Good night.
Archie, you stay with us.